Hi, welcome back to Dalren Models. Today I'm going to be making up some seat belts using the photoetch fret. These are going to be for the Castrol Celica from Tamiya kit that I'm building using the hobby design set. So as you can see, there's plenty of buckles and things on there that I'm going to be using along with this, which is a sticky back material, and if you get into focus you can see it's got a texture to it to simulate what the seatbelt would look like. So these are the two things I'm going to be using. So I'm going to make a start by cutting the strips for this, and what you need to do is make sure when you cut it that it fits inside there, because if you cut it too wide then it's not going to fit. So if you get a ruler and measure, you can use a ruler or a calipers or whatever your preference is, and measure it so you can see what you need. And so if I cut these at 2mm, then that will be sufficient. So I'm just going to cut a 2mm strip. So I'm just putting a mark at the bottom, and I'll do the same at the top. So I'm just lining the ruler up with the edge, using the knife as a guide, and then I just put a notch in there. And like I said, I've done one at the bottom already, so then I can use the knife to position it, and then a few cuts and that piece is off. And that will fit nicely through those buckles. So the instructions for this aren't the greatest. That's all you get on how to make them up. So we've got to work out how to feed them through and everything. So what I'll do is I'll go off and I'll make one, familiarise myself with the method, and then I will show you when that was made up, and I'll go through the next one with you. Okay, so what I've done so far is just the side one here. So you can see I've done the top buckle and the ratchet part for it. So taking this, I just sort of eyeballed the measurement as to where it wants to be feeding through there. So it's going to be about that sort of length. So then I get one of these buckles, and then on this, like I said, it's sticky back. So for now, for the first piece, if I can get it off the backing paper. Okay. Just going to take a little bit off initially, just to feed through here. And then carefully fold that back on itself. Make sure you get that straight with fabric, otherwise it will show underneath. So that's that first part done, and then you get the next buckle part. I'll take that off now because I don't need that now. And feed that through where you want it. Go through the top one there. And then I want to feed that through on that bottom one. I hope this is staying in focus for you. Use a different pair of tweezers with a bit more of a point. Yeah, because it's so small, it's difficult for it to focus sometimes. So I'm just going to pull that through. You've got a little bit of workability on this. So you can see there it's gone very close to that buckle, which I don't want, so I'm just going to pull that back there. So you do all this before you actually pull it tight and stick it down. And then you've got the buckle where you want it. And I'm just going to feed that through the seat and the hole. Okay, I'm going to use my tweezers so I've got a little bit better control. I'm just going to tuck that underneath there, the same as the other one. So that's those two done for the sort of waist belt. So next I'm going to do the rear shoulder straps that go through, and they're going to actually run through to the roll cage. So it's going to be, I'm not going to show you the actual fitting of that because it's going to be in the way a little bit, but basically that roll cage is going to sit there like that, and then I've got this rear bit, once it's all fitted in, that's going to sit in there like that, and these straps are going to attach to these hoops that I've made into the rear part of that roll cage there. So they're going to fit into there. So I won't show you that bit on this video, but I'll show you getting to that point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a long strip and just leave it long to start with until I know exactly what length I want to go into that part. So as I did before, I'm going to go and do the first one and work it all out, the method for it, and then I'll show you on the second part. Okay, so this is the next bit that I've done, which is the shoulder strap and what goes down the front of the driver or the co-pilot. It pays to have decent reference photos when you're doing this to work out how they actually go together, because the instructions, I'll show you, that's what you get in the instructions, just this bit here. It doesn't tell you how to feed the seatbelt in at all. So I've had to look at my reference photos to work that out. So I've got a new strip that I've cut off, because I want to leave that one as it is for the length. So the first thing I'm going to do is peel some of this back. And then just put that there for a second, and I've got the part of the buckle here, and move that out of the way. This is these parts here that I've got, and as you can see there's a line in there where they need folding up, and the same with these pieces down here need folding up at the side. So I've already taken those off and bent them to shape, so you can see there, that one there, and this one here, because I assume you don't want to see me bending the photoetch pieces. So carefully feed that through, and I found when I tried to bend this after I put it in that it kept coming out, so I found it easier to actually bend it first and then fit it. So that goes through the side slots like that, and as you can see it does move up and down, and what we need to do is feed the strap up through that and then over on itself. So send that up there like that, and then that wants to go over that other piece that we just put in there, and then back through that hole. And I don't want to stick it down yet, I want to keep that separate, and I want a fairly decent amount on that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold that back on itself a little bit. And it's not the greatest thing to do that with because it's so small and it starts to fray, but I want to do that a little bit, and then I'm going to cut off down here, work out my length that I want. So I want them both the same length, so I'm going to use the other one as a guide as to where I want it. I'll just take a little bit more off there. Okay, there. And then I want another one of these buckles. Which is going to go through there. But what I found on this, when I did the other one, was the way this buckle folds over, it means that you're left with the inside part with the glue on it showing to the outside, which I don't want. So if I just use that to guide me where I want it again. You can see it's quite fiddly job doing all of this, but I think the end results are worth it for the look that you get. I've actually cut that a bit longer than I want, so if I cut that there and then fold that over there, again make sure that it lines up. And then when you've got this strap here that you put down, it's going to give you that sort of pulled over look, like that. So you've got this strap that you pull, and then I get my next bit of the fabric material. And then I feed that through the back of this one. Which again is quite fiddly to get it through that hole, because we've already got some stuff in there. But it will go, if I push that down a bit, then it'll go in. Like that. And then again fold it back on itself once you've got enough through. Like that. And then you've got this strap, or two straps as the case may be now, ready to go through they'll go through the back part of the seat, and they're going to sit there like that. So what we've got after that is, I'll put these brackets on the back of them, and then I'm going to use these, which will attach to the back of the roll cage, which I showed you. So the next bit I'm going to do is I'm going to cut another strip off, and then I'll show you the front section. Okay, on to the next bit, which is the front strap that I'm going to do. The instructions are wrong on this, to put it bluntly, and it's where having decent reference photos pays off. So if you look here, you've got part number 80, which, looking at the sprue, is that piece there, and as you can see you've got 4 slots for the buckles to go into, and then you've got part number 79 on this strap here, which is there, which will give you a total of 5 straps. And as we can see, this is 6-point harness, so we're missing a strap. And what they've given you is part number 77 there, which, looking at my reference photos, is correct for the bottom two straps, but number 77 doesn't exist on the instructions. So it's like they got the call out there for a 5-point harness, not for a 6-point harness. So fortunately they've given you the right part, so I'm able to work with that. So I've taken one off already, and I've cut already a couple of strips of the belt material, so I can just feed that through. So I've put the first one through there, like that, and then just remove a bit of the backing paper off this one. Which isn't the easiest thing to do. I'm sure you've noticed on this video now that it's a bit difficult to get hold of. So I'll just cut a bit off there, and then I'm going to feed that one through the other side. Put my tweezers, pull it through a bit, and I'll fold that over as well. So it's just enough for it to have something to get hold of. You can make sure that it's where you want it, and then that is going to be my bottom strap. So if I remove those two pieces now, and I can position that where I want it, which is going to be there. If they don't stick to each other, put those there, and then fold those under the seat like that. Doesn't need to be fancy under there, it's never going to be seen. So that's the bottom section, and then obviously I've done these two straps that will go through there. That's one side, and that's the other. So they'll sit like that, and I'll probably put a little bit of super glue or something to hold those down. But before I finish those off, I've just got to do that final bit of the buckle through one of those to attach it on. So, which is actually an oversight that I made initially, because again the instructions are so vague. What I want is to remove one of these and replace it with that point there, 79. So rather than pulling those apart, what I'm going to do, because I've obviously got two seats to do, is I'll make up the other straps for the other seat, and I'll just use those on those two, because I need 4 of these anyway. So I'll go off and do those, and then I'll show you when I've done that and it's all done properly. Okay, so I've made up those other buckles now with that piece, as I said. So the last bit that I need to do is just to finish these off. So just a bit of super glue on these pieces, and then I can position it on there, and a bit more for that next piece, if I don't keep dropping it. So it's just building up the layers for that actual buckle clamp itself, whatever it's called, the bit that everything else attaches to. And then I've got the final piece that sits on there, which is a resin piece in the cassette that I've painted up. So that's all done. So that's how they're gonna be. There's one normal buckle on one side, and then this full thing on the other. So they will just go through the back there, as previously, like that, to the other part of the roll cage, and just sit down like that, flat. And obviously I've done the other seat as well. So there you go. That's making up the seat belts, and compared to what they give you in the kit, if I can find it, is these decals here, which you attach on. So I think the aftermarket ones look a lot better once they're all made up. They're quite fiddly to do, but I think the overall results are worth it. So there you go. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.